We believe that knowledge must be shared and connected. This is why we created UNI.MINDS, the biggest Slovenian online festival created to connect academia and industry. Here, you can find partners and ideas for your challenges and see how the industry and academia can join forces to build a smarter, healthier, and sustainable future. The first editions of the UNI.MINDS showed us the values we need to follow in order to be successful.
Focus is important, especially for a small country like Slovenia is, and to have this shared vision where we want to play and where we want to be really the best.
Failure is not necessarily a sign of weakness. It's an opportunity to learn, to go on, and then try again and be successful.
Openness really helps, and people who are more open, they sort of succeed.
It is essential if we as professors want our research to have impact, if we want to work on relevant projects.
So do not miss the third edition of UNI.MINDS. The festival will take place online from the 8th to the 10th of November, featuring an interdisciplinary program with best innovation practices of Slovenian EIT hubs, insight into world innovation trends, and Slovenian frontrunners. For additional information and past events, visit the festival website. We look forward to innovate together.
Hi, and welcome to the opening panel discussion of UNI.MINDS 2022. Hi, I'm Peter, and with our three very distinguished guests, we are going to take a look at the topic funding opportunities for deep tech innovation. So for the next 40 minutes or so, we are going to discuss the importance of excellent research in deep tech companies, finding ways for you, respected researchers and entrepreneurs, to have an even bigger impact on the world. And last but not least, why startups, spin-outs and spin-offs might be one of the key vehicles in utilizing your research. If you want to say something, ask a question or make a comment, you're more than welcome to do so at any time during the panel. Please post them into a chat box and I will try my best to incorporate them into the conversation. So, but to get a better feel for who is on the panel, the first part will consist of short presentations. So the first guest is Igor Milek from Spirit Slovenia. Igor works at Spirit Slovenia in the Entrepreneurship and Technology Promotion Department. He's a national contact point for the European Innovation Council at Horizon Europe. He's also involved in different activities related to the Slovenian innovation ecosystem. Please, Igor, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go.
Okay, I shared my screen. Is it okay? Everything?
Yes.
Works
yes.
Fine. Okay, great. Okay, so thank you, Peter, for this introduction and for the invitation to participate in UNI.MINDS. As you said, yes, I work at Spirit Slovenia, which is a public agency with a very, very long name. But anyway, I will try to keep this speech as short as possible. At Spirit Slovenia, we divide our programs into three main pillars, which are internationalization, foreign direct investments, and entrepreneurship with technology development. Our internationalization department runs different activities for these four main target groups. These activities, let's say, include educational programs, fair presentations and showrooms, also business delegations, suppliers days, B2B events, and financial incentives, and many others tailor-made for different needs. Our foreign direct investment department addresses the needs of business clients that want to enter Slovenian market, that want to make an investment in Slovenia. And so my colleagues provide them with different information about business environment in Slovenia, databases of business zones and investment opportunities, and also about available financial incentives, investment conferences and fairs, etc. For today's topic, I think the most relevant are activities that run in our department for entrepreneurship and tech development. We have different programs for entrepreneurs and companies in all development stages, and these programs we either run ourselves or through our support networks, which are SPOT and CO, which you all may know. Beside that, some of our programs are designed for specific target groups, and we also offer financial incentives for innovation projects and provide support to companies that apply to EU funding programs or seek projects for their research or business operations. And we can provide this support because we host national contact points for the third pillar of Horizon Europe. And we are also members of the Enterprise Europe network, so all our services in this context are free of charge. If I also mention the support to deep tech projects, I can tell you that for 2023, we are planning to offer co-financing to the companies that receive Seal of Excellence in the EIC Accelerator program in Horizon Europe. And that's all from my side in this speech. I just want to add that whatever I say from now on is my opinion or my view, which does not necessarily reflect the position of my organization. Thank you.
Great, Igor. Thank you. Thank you. So let's welcome our second guest, Maayan Sharon from EIT Hub Israel. Maayan is the Innovation and Business Creation Manager at EIT Hub Israel. She has been fostering the innovation process and helping teams and companies in Europe and Israel come up with new ideas for the past 2.5 years. She has been also leading challenge-based programs with the leading pharma company and works with tech giants and scalable startups. Please, Maayan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. And hi, everyone. I would just share my screen. I'm experiencing some challenges in the technological side, but now all good. So, yes. So thank you, Peter, for the introduction. So as mentioned, I'm Maayan, Innovation and Business Creation Manager. I don't know, I don't see faces here. So I'm just assuming some of you are familiar with EIT. European Institute for Innovation and Technology, the EU body. Around, let's say, 15 years ago, EIT established for the goal to take ideas and take researchers from lab to market and to become more, to grow and flourish this ecosystem in Europe, which was not that developed at those period of times. So as you can see from the right, EIT is focusing on something that's called triangle of knowledge. This means companies, universities, research centers, municipalities, cities, hospitals, who are basically all this ecosystem are part of the EIT's focus. And we're talking about paying a certain amount of fee to EIT and to be exposed to deal flows and startups and talent. So this is the triangle of knowledge. And below you can see some of the EIT results and some of the things that they achieved, like jobs created and ventures supported, products and services are out in the market, and innovation hubs. So EIT is focusing on 8 domains. You can see all of the areas here, and they are very similar to the SDGs domains. I don't know if everyone is familiar with, but we're talking about health, food, raw materials, urban mobility. EIT decided these are the areas that are most urgent, and you need to take care of these areas now. And each one of those domains, it's called KIC, Knowledge Innovation Communities. You can see in the headline. It has its own programs, its own teams around Europe, and some of them also have an investment arm, like Energy. So EIT decided to start a project that's called EIT Global Outreach a few years ago, and to reach out to the ecosystem ranking, the most innovative ecosystems in the world, and to open branches outside of Europe to flourish and to connect Europe with the key global ecosystems. So very naturally, the first hub that was established outside of Europe was in Silicon Valley around 5 years ago, and Israel almost 4 years ago, which is who I'm representing today. So you can look at this beautiful bridge from the right. So our goal is to create this bridge to synergize between the Israeli ecosystem and the European ecosystem, and to create as much as innovative collaboration between EU and Israel, and of course, cross-KIC, cross-domains collaborative projects. So you can see how we work. So we work in the different areas. So we have services and we have products. Services is supporting the ecosystem and to create organizations, collaborations, and a lot of KIC representatives. And product is when we support startups and researchers and scale-ups to better publish and send out their products into the market and get investment in return. You can see from the right our results. We have 5 POCs and 7 in the making. We have 8.5 million euros investment that are already raised, and we have a 1 million consortium. Peter, do I have more minutes, more time?
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So why Israel? I just wanted to show you a little bit about why EIT decided to open a hub in Israel. I mean, we all heard startup nation, but let's understand why. So Israel, a little bit facts and figures, has a little bit less than 10 million population. Workforce is 4.1 million. And if you see below the high-tech workforce, it's equals to 9.8% of the Israel population. You can see here, Israel's so small, the size of New Jersey, and you can see it comparing to Germany, for example. You can see how small it is. This is the length and size of Israel. You can go from the south to the north or the opposite way in 7 hours, more or less. And some facts and numbers. So you can see that Israel has around 7,000 active startups, 19 government incubators, government supported accelerators. We have more than 100 VCs, which are, some of them are international, so 250, and around 450 multinationals corporations from Europe and North America. And this is a crazy number because we have 1 innovative company for every 1,400 people. This is a crazy number for a country with less than 10 million people. Also, you can see the diversity of domains that we have in Israel. We're talking about cyber, IoT, automotive, fintech. There's no one focus, and you can see it also in the unicorns that we have in Israel. We're only second to the US in terms of, second to the Silicon Valley in terms of number of unicorns. We have now around 97 Israeli unicorns. A month ago, it was less. So you can see it comparing to the world, and you can see it's from different domains. There's not one focus on a certain domain that is more successful. So this is me. just wanted to show you a little bit about why Israel is a startup nation, and yeah, great to be here.
Mayan, thank you. The third panelist was supposed to be Andre Luzikruk-Pietri from JEDI. Andre is currently chairman of JEDI, so Joint European Disruptive Initiative. So they call themselves also European Arca, so initiative to boost cutting edge and deep tech development. But unfortunately, due to health issues, he's probably not going to participate and connect today. But anyway, thank you both. Let's begin the discussions. So my first theme would be, that universities are important for research, innovation, and making new ideas available to the public. And researchers create a huge amount of new knowledge because they are always trying to be the best at what they do, as all of us, I guess. The EU has been pushing for collaboration among scientists, among teams, among disciplines, and even at the institutional level through the European University Alliances, in which networks of EU-supported universities are piloting new ways to teach, research, work, and create innovations together. So my first question would be for you, Mayan. Do you think that having the really best knowledge is enough to make deep tech innovation and, of course, entrepreneurial success?
Thank you. So I think in the entrepreneurial context, when I'm talking about deep tech, as I told Peter before, I'm thinking about the startups that I work with, which are spending a lot of time in the labs and spending a lot of time in research. Sometimes it can be on the hardware or technologies that are more sophisticated and need more knowledge, as we say. So I think knowledge is here used to address more of the problem the customer has or is going to have. And the knowledge is also helps you to understand what you need. What team do you need? What financial support do you need? What is the market that you are reaching to? And I mean, it's okay to decide to focus only on the research and make the impact in that kind of way. But even in that case, you need to make an effort to attract businesses and new investments and new money into your research. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's it's a great start. At this point, I would welcome you both to engage if you have some insights, and also to invite again the audience to maybe post the questions and comments and that stuff. So Igor, do you have maybe a comment on that? Because Slovenia it's kind of well known of research, but is this good enough?
Well, obviously it's not. I mean, for sure, best knowledge is only one ingredient, a very important one, but you need many more ingredients. You need a team, you need commitment, you need money, especially in deep tech, and I think also, let's say, a good leader in order to drive this knowledge towards successful, entrepreneurial stories. And even if you have all that, I think that there is no guarantee for success, especially in deep tech, because there's you are with deep tech, you are many times disrupting existing markets, meaning you don't really know how the clients will accept your product. So I think the risk of failure is quite high. Very good or best knowledge is a good foundation, but it needs many more ingredients.
So, we hear often that, we are kind of great in research, but not so great in using this knowledge to make a bigger impact, whether social or economic. So in the new European Innovation Agenda, which was released by the European Commission this summer, there are promises, goals kind of, to make regional innovation policies, make it easier for startups to get money, to train 1 million deep tech innovators. So another question to you, Igor, is, and it's going to be a hard one, by the rule of thumb, is there going to be enough money to develop everything we want in the new European Innovation Agenda?
Well, there's never enough money. Even let's take a look at the EIC program. We have 1,000 projects applying and 75 get funding. These are supposed to be deep tech projects, and obviously there's not enough money to fund so many. So this is one thing that tells us it's not enough money. And I think that the new European Innovation Agenda is ambitious and addresses, let's say, many very relevant challenges. But how this all will be financed is, in my opinion, not completely clear yet. But obviously, it's not going to be enough solely the EU budget. I think that also member states and other stakeholders like VCs and many others will have to contribute to this agenda and to play their role in order to achieve this final ultimate goal, which is Europe being a global leader in current wave of deep tech innovation. And like we said, it's not all about money. You need knowledge and stuff we mentioned in previous question. So what about what do you think, Mayan?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say because here in the Israeli office, so we're not dealing with EU funding or anything like that. We do give the platform for consortiums and stuff like that, but we have the power to connect with the deep tech technologies and stuff like that. But I agree with most of what you said. I wanted to say.
The funny part, just to jump in, the funny part with the first keynote we had from Arno was that, he said, if I remember correctly, that, we always brag about, having more funds and all that, but the true, the reality is actually, or the suggestion from him is that, we should get going without funds, because this is the main kind of driver of true innovation and true collaboration. I see you nodding, Mayan. Do you agree? Yeah, because in Israel we hear that there's a lot of funding available, but you also have quite a lot of innovation available.
Yeah, I nodded because I agreed, because EIT strategy is also to become more sustainable. And as time passed by, there is an expectation to receive more revenues and to not be afraid to ask for money for partners and collaborations for the services that you produce. So this is why I agreed. And in terms of Israel, in Israel is not a market. It's a very small country. We do have the constructions and everything for a beta site to pilot and to test your technologies. But when an Israeli startup is born and established, is immediately looking outside and looking where to scale. So in terms of funding, so of course that he needs the money to do it. And sometimes he can find it out of Israel or in Israel in order to scale. So it's a unique position for this country.
Igor, I would go further, with a question like EU has supported many researchers and companies throughout, many programs throughout the years. And do you have maybe some stories from Slovenia or abroad in deep tech that became successful because of EU support? Because, at this point, I think it's very important to have kind of, role models as well, or success stories.
Well, actually, I wouldn't say that they became successful because of EU support, but because of who they are, what they do, and how they do it. EU support is only enabled them to do things, let's say, faster or smoother, maybe. And to be honest, there are not that many Slovenian deep tech companies that are successful in obtaining EU support, at least in the EIC programs, unfortunately. But if I have to, let's say from recent years, if I had to pick one or two, I would say Biosystemica is a great example with their DNA data storage technology, which is really disruptive. And maybe we shouldn't forget about the EOS company, which is the first and for the moment the only Slovenian EIC accelerator winner in Horizon Europe. And I think they will have a chance. I think that you will have a chance to hear from their director in tomorrow or on Thursday, if I'm correct. Yeah, Professor Alexandra Lobnik. Maybe we must also mention this great success story from our close neighborhood. I'm talking about the story of Rimac electric hypercars from Croatia that we all know. They received many support from many sources, EU sources, and they are success stories which also EU Commission can wave with. And it is in our proximity. So this is what I would suggest as great examples of what EU support can offer, offer.
Yeah, maybe just a follow-up question, because you mentioned the companies that are heavily related to universities. Yeah, it's, I guess, we all know when attending or applying for programs, it's it's really hard competition. Yeah. And it's really hard to get a support in all phases of development of deep tech innovation. Yeah, and in your opinion, how good is support for crossing all debt valleys? Because it's not just one, because in every phase you have such debt valley, and how fierce is the competition? Maybe just
to my knowledge, the EIC accelerator is actually the let's say the only program, EU program, that is targeting deep tech projects and companies and offers support in all let's say technology readiness level stages. So these are the Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator programs. And maybe I can comment more this accelerator part because we as an agency work more with the SMEs, not so much with research organizations. And yes, I can tell you that the competition is really harsh. And this, like I said, we only have one winner for now. But this is not only our, struggle. Also, all other widening countries struggle a lot. I think that Israel has more approved projects than all EU 13 countries altogether in EIC Accelerator. So obviously they do something right. Is there any secret recipe, Mayan? This competition is, the success rate is between 5 and 10%, depending on cutoff. And this is really hard. And I don't know what kind of support companies SMEs would, use the most. What would be the most with the most impact? What support we should offer? Because there are many, let's say, opportunities. They can have a coach from European Commission. They have now. We will be able to offer additional support, consulting support from EN project for widening countries, companies from widening countries. So, but there is no secret recipe. I mean, it's really harsh. It's really hard work, and also this evaluation procedure with 3 steps basically makes some challenges for many companies with from widening countries. So it's quite complex. Yes.
Yeah. Mayan, because Igor, throw you a ball. Israel has established itself as a benchmark country on how the innovation community can create value out of knowledge. Yeah, and we also did a benchmark against you as Slovenia. And what are you at your institution? So EIT Hub Israel doing to support deep tech innovations in their development? And maybe here's a secret recipe we are all looking for.
Yeah, so Igor, we call the secret recipe, we call it the secret sauce in Israel. So not relevant to my answer, but the secret sauce is chutzpah. Chutzpah is an Israeli word for audacity, not to be afraid to fail. Failure is the way to success. And we also see a lot of a trend that a lot of investors are looking for the entrepreneurs that failed already and raised up and establish something new. So this is the secret sauce. You heard it here. And to your question, Peter, so EIT, we'll talk about EIT in Europe and what Israel is doing. So EIT in Europe, so there is the giant accelerator ideation program, if you want to say, that's called Jumpstarter. I showed you before the 8 domains that EIT is focusing on. So Jumpstarter is basically all over the kicks, all over the domains, and attracting talents and researchers and deep tech ideas to apply and basically give them all they need to jumpstart their venture, their startup. So this is one side. I can give you an example that I was in a deep tech conference in Riga not too long ago, around 6 months ago, and there was a startup pitch competition there, and there was a lot of representatives from Jumpstarter, from EIT Jumpstarter. So you can see the value and the results that it's the effect of that. And after they finish the Jumpstarter, startups are being established. We and EIT Hub Israel, since we're sitting on the big crossroad of the Silicon Valley Hub and Israel and Europe, so we decided to focus on early growth. Startups in the early growth phase, where they have at least 1 round of funding, they have a working product or a prototype, and they are looking to enter new markets. So what we do, we help deep tech technologies to get their next round. We help them to connect to different industry bodies to do pilots, POCs. Of course, that before that, we train them to understand what they need. We matchmake them with mentors, and we help them to work on their advanced speech. We help them to understand what is impact measuring. This period of time, the time that we live in, to measure your impact is very important. And also peer learning. We bring to the table Israeli deep tech startups and European, and we encourage them to share challenges, to talk with each other. We even give the time during these programs, and they see that they have a lot of common grounds, and they can really help each other, and not even if they are on the same field, you know, if they are on the same domain and the technologies can answer the same challenge, but still you don't have to fight, you need to work together. So this is something that we teach them. And you can see the results. I mean, we have technologies that are piloting now in Israel, and Israeli startups that are getting investment from Europe. So you can see this success. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, the secret sauce is not being afraid of failing. Igor.
May I have a question for Mayan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How often it is in Israel, let's say, for researchers to have their company? Is there, I don't know, is legislation you know, friendly for this? Because I feel somehow this is exceptional in Slovenia. Not you know, very often researchers go to this entrepreneurial pathway.
I didn't understand the question.
Is it you know, not usual, but do researchers establish their own companies? Is that a common practice in Israel?
Yeah. So it's funny that you ask, because I'm now in 2 weeks we will be hosting a delegation of researchers from Europe, because they're coming to Israel to learn how to commercialize their research, how to become a startup, a venture. So they're coming to Israel because you see Israel has really great results in this area. And yes, I mean, people are getting out of the labs, of the research centers, and establish a startup. So the answer is yes. Of course, it's more difficult, but this is why EIT established, by the way, because a lot of good ideas were staying in the labs. So this is what we're trying to change. And slowly we see the change. But at least the 20 researchers that are coming in 2 weeks, they will definitely get you know, the different mindset, and they will pitch for the first time on stage, and they will get feedback, from Israeli experts. So yeah, I mean, this is life-changing, if I'm not too exaggerating. Yeah.
I can add that we see this also, this let's say challenge also in applicants to the EIC accelerator, which, if these are deep tech companies, they come from, you know, research institutions, and they don't have any problems presenting their scientific part or technology part, but many times the presentation of business cases is really an issue. And with this final evaluation step, the interview in Brussels, this is where they fail. How to tackle this? I don't. It's a process. I think it's not a simple solution. It's a process which involves also, you know, study programs changes with addition of entrepreneurial, you know, courses and stuff like that for students already, and even before in high schools, which we lack, in my opinion.
So not just I'm going back to not just to be willing to fail, but also willing to pitch. That's the secret sauce of Israel, among other things.
Yeah, it's part of failing.
Yeah. So you started to go into that direction, Igor. The third mission of universities focuses on how to commercialize, utilize, and transfer knowledge. And I read just recently a systematic analysis of 50 years of technology transfer and commercialization, and at one of the world's biggest and most successful university in that regard, showed that the most profitable inventions are licensed by inventors, startups, spin-outs, and spin-offs. So they also found that the proportion of female inventors has tripled over the past 25 years. The innovation team was getting bigger over time, and that innovations with more adjectives in their abstracts have worse net income. Yeah, that's in my opinion, that's quite interesting. And based on the analysis, universities should focus on and put in extra effort to create deep tech companies. Do you think deep tech companies need different support than other companies, Mayan? Maybe just to follow up on what you were talking just earlier.
If you can sharpen maybe the question at the end.
So do you think deep tech companies need different support than other companies? That was my main question.
Yeah, so I think that we talked about it before this meeting, but deep tech is as we see it, is like a step before the world. Okay, we see it that they work a lot in the labs, and they're looking to do something big. We see it. I work with a startup, deep tech startup, that spent like 7 years in the lab and in the university, and they're finally like ready to raise their first round, their seed or pre-seed round, and we just see that deep tech companies have different time frames than other startups. Let's say like not a deep tech startup, basically like softwares or stuff like that are, came up with the idea, got a bunch of money, and now they're just selling to customers, and it's really quick. No, so deep tech has different time frames, and it takes a little bit more time or more time. And I think we're talking about the patients. You need to be patient with them. They need to understand what is their unique value proposition after they worked on the technology and they have this aspect, which took a lot of time. Now they need to think about the business aspect. They need to look to the world. They need to think about the trends. They need to think what are their competition out there. And we also talk with our startups in Israel, in the Israeli hub, about the psychological aspects, the psychological mindset of the roller coaster of being an entrepreneur and being a startup. So to summarize, we're talking about the time periods that are different than other startups, and the different elements that they need to grow, which is the value proposition and the market and the competition.
Yeah, great. In the meantime, we were joined by Andre, and for the next question, although he didn't participate, but it's very relevant for him, I will ask just to briefly introduce JEDI and maybe answer the question, what is the key ingredient they are looking for when supporting deep tech innovations. Andre, hi.
Thank you, Peter, and apologize to everybody for being so late. Had an emergency. Look, JEDI in a nutshell has a huge ambition, which is to contribute that especially Europe and free societies still have a leading edge on technology, I mean, it's obvious for everybody that we live this incredible scientific and technological acceleration. We also see that it's not just important for competitiveness, I think that has been discussed, but also for the resilience of our societies. Just look at the debate that there is about platform, about Elon Musk these days, who has this dark and this bright side. The bright side is probably the contribution that Starlink brought to the Ukraine conflict. And the dark side is obviously the big worry we all have, how this information or how this platform can be used if it's not in the proper hands. So the whole idea is to say Europe cannot be anymore in a defensive mode. Regulation is good, we probably need it, but you never win a race by being in the defensive mode. You need to be on the offense. I think that's what Marian just mentioned. And the idea is for the Europeans not to look and try to catch up, but to invent the next big thing. Look at Meta. It's very interesting how 2 years ago it was a huge entity. Today it looks much more fragile than it used to be. So some bets work, some bets don't work. And what JEDI is doing is we launch technological challenges for areas which are too risky or too long-term for the private sector. So for the VC investors who are in this discussion, those things where you don't have a return on investment that we feel could be game changers. So it's about nuclear fusion. It's about the future of cloud. It's the future of semiconductors, which might not be semiconductor, which might be photonic, neuromorphic computing, etc. And to do that, we change completely the way traditional research funding is done. Without being too critical, today research is about who you give the money to. Time is not playing a huge role. It's about consortia, etc. We try to put that upside down, and we say it's all about the purpose. So can we invent cloud computing that is using 10 times less energy? Can we do federated learning? Can we do homomorphic encryption? That means can we use heterogeneous databases, but without reverse engineering to private data? Can we do face recognition without centralized databases? All this today is the frontier of science. So this is the purpose. For that, we challenge people from academia, from deep tech startups, but also from industry, because you have incredible teams from industrial companies, provided you take them out of their, I would say, corporate. So excellence only. And third, we put the pressure on time. And remember, in the vaccines, when we had a purpose, we achieved in just 8 months between March and October 2020 to develop a vaccine, which also means, fourth thing, that you need to try several things at the same time. So this is what we do. We should be something driven by the EU or by an intergovernmental. That's probably the roadmap for JEDI in the next couple of years. But we started as a foundation because we realized that changing the way governments and the EU function is a battle in itself. We don't want to spend too much time on that. Others hopefully will make the EU much more agile and forward-looking. We focus on these moonshots as a foundation. So we ride this challenge. What you can do and what we can bring to you is basically we need the best brains, help us identify what are the frontiers. So we don't want to spray and pray. We want to focus on topics with the biggest societal impact. And we also then provide these challenges which are funded between 1 and 10 million euro for challenges that launch, that durate between 12 and 24 months. So this is what we have, very optimistic view. And last but not least, even if I'm half French, I'm half German, we also believe in decentralized structures. So JEDI is structured with hubs. There is one in Ljubljana. We just created it, so it's emerging. We have 43 hubs all over Europe. We are building the Vienna hub in a couple of weeks. We just did the Brussels hub. And why do we do these hubs? Because we believe these local experts know better than anybody else who are the best brains. And we need to make sure that on a single problem, we have all the best brains working on a very concentrated matter on it. So that's what about JEDI. And I'm very optimistic. I think that provided we remove all the bureaucracy that is plaguing a little bit our public and private funding arena, we have amazing talent in Europe, and there's no reason why we should not be top of the game in everything else.
Yeah, thanks. You're shaking the grounds and making for all maybe some role models on how things might look like in the future. But let me paraphrase a question you're probably asking applicants on your calls. Who is an ideal applicant for JEDI?
People who have a drive for impact. We believe, and this is something which is very mundane, but it needs to be repeated, there is a way for Europe not to do technology for technology, but really technology for impact. And this impact driven, I think, starting from societal challenges, and think about COP27 just opened yesterday. Think about climate technologies. What is the bigger topic than this one that we should all address? So what are we waiting for to do things on nuclear fusion? What are we waiting for doing batteries which are 10 times more energy dense than they are today? What are we waiting for to do green hydrogen, which is cheaper than gray hydrogen? Today it's 3 times more expensive and even more. So the ideal applicant are teams either very experienced, so the Germans would say the professor, doctor, doctors, they love to accumulate the titles in their names, or the young PhD, or the deep tech founder that have a drive to demonstrate that this is solution, either the most traditional one, but with huge impact, or the more crazy one. So for us, it's not a call. There are no deadlines. Anybody can join anytime. What is important for us is not the title and the background and the origin of the people, but it's really the impact we have. But in exchange of this freedom, we are probably much more demanding in the impact. We are not in the business of best efforts, and that sounds a bit maybe shocking. We are in the business of results, and actually what we see is that the best brains, they love to be challenged, provided the question is the right one, and provided we don't ask them to fill in long reports. I mean, everybody has the experience of these long horizon reports, which are good, and they probably need to exist, but we want these brains to be focused on their science and on the impact. And last but not least, the deliverable is not a paper. The deliverable is a working prototype that then can be taken up by VCs, by industrials to scale. So we try to bridge this phase, this moonshot phase, where basically nobody today is investing because it's way too risky.
Thank you. Throughout the panel, we were discussing with Igor and Mayan also, other vehicles to fund your deep tech innovations, and JEDI kind of complements it for the moonshots in a way, yeah, because there might not be any other vehicle to support it so holistically in a way as maybe JEDI. But the time is kind of at the end, so thank you, Andre, for your at the end, but you've been tremendously informative about JEDI and support. But my last question to all of you would be, is there, in your opinion, any bottleneck that should be spotlighted because it's so extremely important and could be in a way easily tackled for better support of deep tech companies? And I will start with Igor, and then Mayan, and then Andre.
Well, if I talk about our situation, Slovenian situation, I would say that maybe we need to enable, let's say, researchers to find and develop their entrepreneurial passion. Because if you have a disruptive deep tech product, you can and you must be very confident about it, but you need to be very bold to jump into this turbulent business waters, I shall say. And I understand that that not all researchers have this desire, but if there is business potential, also other approaches can be used in order to bring this deep tech knowledge and inventions to become innovations.
Great, thanks. Mayan?
Yes, so I agree very much with Igor, as I agreed before. But yeah, we're talking about being patient and really to recognize the core values that the deep tech startups has to offer. And I think events like that can definitely put in the spotlight the different opinions and the different support we can offer. So thank you for organizing it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great. Andre, maybe your last kind of closing remark.
Oh, good. You're putting the pressure on me now. But also thank you. And again, sorry for being late, but hope that a lot of you will get interested in JEDI. As JEDI.foundation, or follow us on Twitter at EuroJEDI. Two things I would dare. One is Igor talked about boldness. I think we need to become the continent of, bets and big, bold dreams again. Europe cannot be, and I know it's politically sensitive to say that, Europe that protects. And I know even my president is saying Europe should protect. Who dreams of being protected? Yes, it's a basic need, but nobody dreams in the future of just the protection. We need to look forward. And I think it's not just the elite that is thinking like that. I think everybody wants to have a dream for its children, for its future. And we need to get again. And look at what's happening again with the big platforms. Big bet of metaverse seems to be difficult for Meta, but the big bet of space or of cars is turning very big and very good for Elon Musk. So today, not doing bets is probably the biggest risk of all, being too conservative. And that leads me to my second point. I think the best potential and the biggest bottleneck, Peter, is our brains. Cognitively, we saw that during the pandemic. We are all very linear. We had difficulties to understand what an exponential is, because this is not something that cognitively we can conceptualize. When we have these waves, we were all surprised and then it went down, because it's not something the way we think. We need to be much more interdisciplinary. And that, again, maybe you take me for a dreamer, that is what Europe should be, is this diversity of opinions today is creating fragmentation, is creating limitation. How to turn that diversity into an incredible source of creativity. Disruptions will not come with 20 rocket scientists in a room. It will come by having different material, different sciences, different fields talking to each other. And it's difficult because they talk different languages, because we need to be very deep in this world of deep tech. But how do we be deep and transversal at the same time? That's what we try to do. But I tell you, it's hard. But if we master that, the creativity, I think, is limitless, and hopefully we can find solution for our planet.
Amazing. So this has been a great panel on funding opportunities for deep tech innovations with our guests, Mayan Sharon, hi, Andre Luzikruk Pietri, and Igor Milek. If I conclude, so the bottleneck is human, not you, not our governments, not funding, because for funding deep tech innovations, we must be bold, and there are a lot of funds and vehicles available. Thank you all for tuning in. Before departing, let me really briefly invite you to other sessions. Today at 1 o'clock, there is Novartis in Slovenia Researchers Day. Tomorrow we start at 9 with a keynote for the health section, followed by a fireside chat. And at 10, EIT Health Hub presentation of good practices and current opportunities. We continue at 11:30 with a keynote in the food section, followed by the fireside chat and EIT Food Hub Slovenia presentation of good practices and current opportunities. We will conclude the day 2 with a keynote at 14 for the climate section, followed by an interesting panel discussion. Day 3 starts with a keynote for the manufacturing section and is followed by a fireside chat and presentation of good practices and current opportunities in EIT Manufacturing Hub Slovenia. At 11:30, there is a keynote for the raw materials section, followed again by the fireside chat and presentation of good practices and current opportunities of EIT Raw Materials Hub. Last but not least, at 14, we will have a panel discussion on the topic of urban mobility, and at 1500, presentation of good practices and current opportunities of EIT urban mobility hub. We will wrap up the third UNI.MINDS with a closing ceremony. So live streaming will start at 1800. Enjoy the interesting insights of more than 60 speakers. Grab your sections and innovate together with EIT hubs in Slovenia. I'm Peter, and I wish you all the best and best of luck. And thank you to the panelists. Bye.
Bye-bye. To je to. Ajde.